You know, every now and then you come across a book that people say is one of the greatest ever written. Well, today we're diving into one of those, George Eliot's Middlemarch. It's this massive, incredible story about an entire town, but really, at its core, it's asking a question that I think we all ask ourselves. What actually makes a life meaningful?
And Eliot doesn't waste any time. Right from the very beginning, in the prelude, she hits us with this powerful idea. She's asking, what happens when someone with huge, world-changing ambitions, like a St. Teresa, is born in a time and place that just has no room for them? This isn't just a pretty opening. It's literally the key to the whole novel. It's all about big dreams bumping up against the hindrances of everyday life. So, where does our story take place? We're in the fictional English town of Middlemarch, and the year is somewhere around the 1830s. Now, you gotta remember, this was a time of massive change in Britain. The Industrial Revolution is roaring, political reform is in the air, and this little town of Middlemarch is like a perfect snapshot of that entire changing world, where old traditions are constantly clashing with new, modern ideas. And here's something that's just so fascinating. The author herself. George Eliot was actually the pen name for Marianne Evans. See, back in the 19th century, women writers were often kind of pigeonholed, seen as just writing light romances. Evans knew her work was serious, and she wanted it to be judged seriously, so she chose a man's name. And because of that, Middlemarch was taken on its own terms as the absolute masterpiece it is.
Okay, so the genius of this book is how it juggles four main storylines, all at once. We've got Dorothea, the fiery idealist, Dr. Lydgate, the brilliant new doctor in town, Fred Vincy, who's charming but kind of can't get his act together, and Mr. Bulstrode, the powerful town banker who's hiding something. And the amazing part is watching how their lives start to tangle together in ways they could never, ever see coming.
All right, so this is where the main conflicts really kick off. It all starts with two marriages. Both of them begin with these incredibly high hopes, and, well, both of them turn into absolute disasters. This is where we see our main character's big dreams smash right into the cold, hard wall of reality. So first, let's meet Dorothea Brooke. She's only 19, but she is bursting with passion and intelligence. She doesn't want to just get married and be comfortable. She wants to do something important. So she turns down a perfectly nice, handsome local guy to marry Edward Casaubon, a much older scholar. Why? Because she truly believes he's going to be her guide to a life of serious intellectual purpose.
And this just lays out the tragedy so perfectly for our two main characters. Dorothea was looking for a partner for her mind, but what she got was a cold, petty man who just wanted an assistant. And at the very same time, you have the brilliant Dr. Lydgate. He marries the most beautiful girl in town, Rosamond, hoping for a supportive wife. What he gets is someone obsessed with money and status who ends up driving him into crushing debt. Two dreamers, both completely trapped. For Dorothea, the moment it all comes crashing down is on her honeymoon in Rome. This was supposed to be the start of her great intellectual adventure. Instead, she realizes her husband couldn't care less about her ideas. She's not a partner, she's an accessory. And her marriage? It's a prison. It's this heartbreaking moment where her idealism just shatters. Now, these personal train wrecks don't just happen in isolation. This is where the story gets really juicy. All those separate plot lines we mentioned, they start to intersect and weave together, creating this complicated, messy web of secrets, gossip, and danger that threatens to bring everybody down.
And the person who really starts connecting all these threads is a guy named Will Ladislaw. He's Casaubon's younger, free-spirited cousin. He shows up in town, becomes friends with the struggling Dr. Lydgate, and, you guessed it, he develops this instant, powerful connection with Dorothea. And of course, her jealous husband, Casaubon, sees it right away, and suddenly the tension is just off the charts.
So as all this personal drama is unfolding, you can feel these other crises just brewing under the surface. Casaubon has a heart attack, which puts everything on a clock for Dorothea. Fred Vincy is getting deeper and deeper into debt, betting it all on an inheritance. And then this shadowy figure, Raffles, shows up holding a secret that could absolutely destroy the town's most powerful man, Mr. Bulstrode. The whole town is basically a ticking time bomb. So, yeah, what is this dark secret? I mean, what could the town's super religious, super respectable banker possibly be hiding? Well, it turns out Bulstrode's entire reputation is built on a massive lie. Years and years ago, he got his hands on a fortune, but he did it by hiding the fact that there was a rightful heir. He kept the money, built this new respectable life, and buried the past. And John Raffles? He's the one person on Earth who knows the truth. and he's here to cash in.
And this, right here, brings us to the climax of the novel. The title for this section is perfect, The Dead Hand's Grip. It's all about how the past, and even people who are gone, can reach out and control the lives of the living.
So the first explosion is the death of Dorothea's husband. His heart finally gives out and he dies. But in his last bitter days, eaten up by jealousy, he adds a little something extra to his will. A new condition designed to hurt Dorothea even from beyond the grave. And that condition is just brutal. It basically says that if Dorothea ever marries Will Ladislaw, she loses her entire inheritance. It's his final, pathetic act of control, trying to poison her future. So now Dorothea has this impossible choice. Does she choose love, or does she choose her financial freedom?
And while all that is happening, the town's other crisis blows up. Raffles, the blackmailer, gets sick and dies at Bulstrode's house while under Dr. Lydgate's care. Even though the blackmailer is gone, the secret gets out. Bulstrode's past is exposed, and he is ruined, publicly and completely. But tragically, because Lydgate had taken a loan from Bulstrode, the town gossip immediately assumes he was in on it. His reputation is destroyed. His dreams are just gone.
Okay, deep breath. After all of that chaos, we move into the resolution. In the wake of these huge public scandals and private heartbreaks, our characters have to figure out how to put the pieces back together, how to build something new from the ashes of their old lives. So let's just quickly recap where everyone ends up. Dorothea chooses love, she gives up the money and marries Will Ladislaw. Dr. Lydgate, completely broken, leaves town and ends up dying young, never fulfilling his amazing potential. Fred Vincy, on the other hand, finally grows up, he gives up on getting rich quick, gets a real job, and marries the woman he loves. And Bulstrode, he's kicked out of town, a total outcast. And this brings us full circle, back to Dorothea. She never gets that epic life she dreamed of as a teenager. She doesn't lead some grand reform or write a great book. Instead, she finds her purpose on a much smaller, much more human scale, in her marriage, in her children, and in the quiet, everyday good she does for the people in her world. Which brings us right back to that opening quote about being the foundress of nothing. Middlemarch doesn't give you a simple answer. It leaves you with this huge, profound question. In a world that doesn't always have a big stage for us, how do we actually measure the value of a life? Is it about the big things that get written down in history books? Or is it about the quiet, unseen influence that spreads out and makes things just a little bit better for everyone else? And that question? Well, that's why this novel, written over 150 years ago, feels like it could have been written just yesterday.